Want to take your production value up a notch by drastically improving your lighting? Then don't go away. Hey guys, Mike here and welcome back to the channel. Now, one of the most important things to get right when you're making videos is lighting. Many of us, well, most of us, don't have purpose-built studios, right? We're trying to make do in bedrooms, lounges, garages, and often don't have a lot of room to set up large lights. So today I'm having a look at a super compact but also very powerful LED bicolor COB light, the Weeylite Ninja 200. Now, I've used and reviewed a bunch of smaller Weeylite products like the Weeylite RB9 and the RB08P, both very good quality portable RGB lights. And this is one of the smallest and compact COB lights in their range. I want to thank Weeylite for sending me this unit to try out, and I want to emphasize that the opinions and review in this video are all mine. So what, I hear you say, is a COB light? Well, COB, or chip on board, is a new LED technology where a number of LEDs, or light-emitting diode chips, are packed close together as one lighting module. They appear as one LED chip as opposed to the original surface-mounted technology of having individual LEDs scattered across the surface. Placing the diodes close together gives the COB LED a super bright light output for the small space they occupy. And this allows for a brighter light output for the energy consumed in comparison to traditional LEDs, making COB lights more energy efficient. Now, I've been using this light for a number of weeks now, so let's cover some of the key specs and what I like and what I would change. The light kit comes in a number of different kit configurations. The one I got is the most popular and includes the light itself, a multifunctional yoke, which we'll talk about later, a reflector, a Bowens adapter mount, a battery mount, a handle mount, a DC power adapter and super long cord, and a padded carrier bag to pop it all in. And now onto the light itself. And one of the key features of this light compared to many others is its small size. This is one of the big advantages of this light because it not only makes it ultra portable, but ultra usable. And what I mean by that is when you pair it up with a handle mount and battery adapter, you have something that you can use in a run and gun situation, or if you're involved in a small production where you need to shift or direct light around very quickly. Even with a couple of batteries on, it's still very lightweight, with the main unit itself weighing about 1 kilogram. The light itself is very well built and is made with a combination of metal and hard plastic. It feels really solid and certainly doesn't feel junky. The LED at the front comes with a hard plastic cover to protect it for when you're moving it around or packing it away. The yoke is a nice touch because it means you can mount it vertically or on the side and is fully adjustable. It's also built of aluminium and feels really solid. In terms of the accessories, you get quite a few with this light that give it a lot of functionality. First up, you get a really solid handle mount, as I talked about earlier. It feels really good in the hand, has a light mount on top and a 1/4 thread on the bottom so you can use it with other accessories. Now, as I said before, when you combine this with the battery adapter, you have a handheld portable light setup, which is very handy. The battery adapter itself screws directly into the side of the light and uses Sony NPF style batteries to power the light. Bear in mind you do need to use 2 to get enough power into the light. To connect the battery adapter's power to the light unit itself, it comes with a short cable. One of the other adapters you get is a Bowens adapter because since the light is so small, the built-in adapter is a mini Bowens mount. If you have a softbox or other attachment with a regular size Bowens mount, then you just attach this adapter to the front of the unit and then your accessory like a softbox onto that. Now, I attached my Aperture Mini light dome using this method and it worked just fine. I'm also pretty impressed with the carry case the kit comes in. It's really sturdy, has plenty of room to fit everything in, and it's really well padded. It's a great way to store the light and gives it plenty of protection at the same time. The controls on the back of the unit are very easy to use. Essentially, you have a dial that controls the brightness of the light and you can control it all the way down to 0%. Now, this is great because many lights bottom out at 10% and don't go any lower. If you push the dial in, you can then control the color temperature of the light, and this light has a range from 2800 Kelvin for a warm light through to 6800 Kelvin for more of a white light. The light is also capable of a number of special effects. Now, bear in mind this is a bicolor white light, so it can't do the RGB special effects, but can do things like lightning, camera flash, TV, that sort of thing. Now, this light really competes with the big boys because it's also introduced app control. The Weeylite app is available on the App Store and the Google Play Store and connects via Bluetooth. Using the app, you can control multiple lights and allows you to dial in precise settings and color temperature, including easy selection of the scene modes, so you don't have to cycle through them on the unit itself. It's also super handy if you're a one-man band and are using this as a key light or using it somewhere that isn't within arm's reach. You can dial in the settings on your app, which is very, very handy. Now, as an aside, there is a remote control you can buy separately that controls this light and a bunch of other video lights made by Weeylite. I'll put a link in the description below. In terms of who would use this and what you'd use it for, well, for one-man band situations like mine, it's more than capable of being a key light. It's rated at 60 watts, and in my test, it goes way brighter than I would ever need. If you have a bit of a bigger setup and already have large professional lights like the Aperture 120D for example, then something like this would be perfect for lighting other parts of a scene, or even mounted permanently in your studio to use it as a fill light or hair or rim light. You can use just the reflector that it comes with, but you really should use some form of diffusion to enable you to get softer light, like some form of softbox. If you don't have one of those, you can always just buy a cheap reflector that has a diffuser built in and rig it up with a stand and a peg, which actually works just fine. Now, here's some examples where I use the light with just a reflector and it's not diffused at all. It's quite a harsh light and the shadows have sharper edges. I've even cranked it up so you can just see how powerful this little light can be. Then this is the result you get from using a cheap diffuser that's part of my fold-out reflector. The light is definitely a bit softer. Because it's going through the diffuser, I've turned the light up to compensate, but even at these levels you can see that there's still plenty left in the tank. And finally, here's the light through my Aperture mini light dome. If I'm honest, I think the cheap diffuser looks just fine. So if you're on a budget or don't have the room for a softbox setup, then that works just fine. Another way to use the light, especially if you're in a tight space, is just to bounce it off the ceiling or walls, and that diffuses the light and reduces the harshness of the light. I guess it all depends on what sort of space you have. My best advice is just to experiment to find what works best for you. Now, another feature of the light, although one I couldn't get to work, is that it has updatable firmware. However, there are no details or instructions that I could find on how to do this, so I was unable to check if the firmware I had was up to date. In terms of how much this light will set you back, well, at the time of making this video, the kit I've shown you today is available on Amazon for $209. But it does come in other configurations as well, just in case you don't want some of the accessories. I'll put a link down below if you wanted to check it out. So there's a lot to like about this little light. It's portable, powerful, easy to set up and use, and the accessories mean that it's flexible enough to mount in a range of situations or use independently. The app control has saved me heaps of time being able to adjust the intensity from my chair without having to get up constantly and change and check. So if I could change anything about the light, what would it be? For me, it's only one thing, and that is the fan noise. You can set it at low, medium or high in terms of the fan strength, I guess depending on how bright you have the light. So I had it operating on low, given I wasn't running the light too bright. I was sitting about 3 feet from the light, and in the recordings I made, the microphone did pick up some noise, but not too noticeable when you're talking, but if it was silent, then you might be able to pick it up. I have seen on other videos about this light that you can switch the fan off. However, I could only see low, medium or high on my control panel. Now, after having the light operating for about 2 hours, even with the fan on low, the light itself was still cool to the touch. So I tried, as I said earlier, to see if I could update the firmware to give me that option so I could try running the light with no fan, but I had no luck. Now, having said all that, it certainly isn't a showstopper for me. This is still a great little light and I'll be giving it plenty of use. Thanks once again to Weeylite for sending me this unit out to try and review. Now, I've been reviewing a bunch of new products lately, and if it's lights you're after, then you're in the right place, as I've also done a bunch of reviews on small portable RGB lights. So if you're still on the fence of which one to buy, definitely go and check out those videos. Cheers guys.